Hello, everyone. So first of all, let us know if you can hear us okay. We would appreciate a quick note in the chat if the audio is okay. Philip, you can also
Yeah, can you hear me as well?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
it
thank
works.
you. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. So welcome on the webinar on managing replies, more specifically how to get higher ROI from your outbound campaigns by managing your replies better. Today, your hosts are Philip, who is our current head of sales development in Growbots, and me, meaning ex-head of sales development at Growbots. So we both have a lot of hands-on experience when it comes to sales development and managing replies. Not only like leading those teams, but actually like managing it with our bare hands as well. Philip, do you know what is this number? If you read the notes, you know.
I have no idea. Maybe it's some kind of historical date, but honestly, no idea.
I actually checked our CRM, and this is the number of the meetings that we booked for Growbots as demo creator.
Okay.
So just wanted
Nice.
to show our audience that we know this firsthand. Super quickly, the agenda and housekeeping items. So we'll start with the goal of the webinar. So why we are even talking about that. We'll cover what are the different types of warm responses. Then we'll go to examples of how actually to handle those, both like copy-wise and process-wise. Then we'll mention some additional, a bit more advanced tactics on handling those responses and improving your scheduling rate. A few words on why to use CRM and also like some free options for people that don't have one currently. And hopefully we'll manage also to say a couple of words about attendance rates, which is not specifically about handling responses, but also important aspect of meeting scheduling process. And we'll finish off with Q&A. So if you have any questions, please ask them on the right-hand side in the question section. If they are relevant to the current topic, we can tackle them right away. If not, we'll tackle them at the end. If we run out of time, we'll get to you via email and make sure that all of those are answered. Also from housekeeping items, after the prezo, at the end of the prezo, you will get a link to the presentation. With all the templates and content, so don't worry, you don't need to make screenshots or anything. You will get access to all of that after the presentation. Okay, let's roll. So with about the goal. I thought that the best way to visualize, to tell you why we are even talking about that is by showing this simple calculator, ROI calculator that we sometimes use at Growbots, and basically tells you with this kind of conversions, this kind of deal size, what comes out of contacting 3,000 prospects, right? So you can see that we are running here pretty healthy campaign, meaning 55% open rate, 1.7% of warm response rate, so super decent. We also have high attendance rate. We have decent close rates, win rates as for outbound. And this is like the one point that is kind of lagging, 25% of this scheduling rate. And this is what we usually see when people don't really focus on that aspect of scheduling. They answer emails, obviously, right? But that's it. When someone doesn't schedule, they just leave it. It usually lands around 25%. So you can see that the outcome is 3.8K of dollars. And let's see what happens when we bump this scheduling rate to a healthy 60% of scheduling rate. So something super achievable, not very hard to get. When you do it right, it's quite standard to be able to convert 60% of the warm responses, positive responses that you get into an actual meetings with potential customers. So obviously it increased almost 3 times. Just like with any other conversion in this funnel, this is exactly why we are talking about that, right? Any conversion in this sales funnel can either make or break your ROI from the entire campaign. So you can see that by improving your persistence rate or getting it to a healthy percent, you can increase your ROI by a lot. All right, so what are the different types of responses that we'll be handling? Here are the 10 kind of most common types, and let's do a quick poll on which of these would you respond to? Would you consider a warm response? Would you consider a response that is worth chasing, worth trying to set up a meeting with? So if you go publish poll, if you go on the right-hand side to the polls section, just by questions, and mark, it's a multi-choice survey, mark all of them, all the responses that you would answer to that you would personally try to set up meeting with. Should we fill out as well, Philip?
No. I think let's wait for the results, wait and see.
Yeah. Answering your question, David, yes, this is being recorded, and you'll get access to the recording and to the presentation after the meeting. For votes, let's wait a bit more. Brett says all but 10. One, two, five, six, seven. All right, we have 10 responses. Should we start, Philip?
Yeah, I think we can. Like, we'll see any other responses if they come a little bit later on. There's one more from 1 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, let's discuss the results. Are you guys seeing the results as well after submitting those answers? I think that you should be able to. Everyone should be able to see the results. But if for any reason you don't, the results are declining with each point, right? So we got 10 answers for the first response, or no, 3. Sorry, it moved.
Yeah. So like the first one is of course the most popular one,
yeah.
And I think we all know why. Like these are the answers we love to get. So so that's pretty straightforward. Well, the 7th answer is the second place. What do you think about it, Chris? Are you surprised?
I'm super surprised that this is the second most hot response.
Yeah, like me too. I would personally, I would think that either 3rd, 2nd, or 5th would be on the second place, and I see them way lower. But well, that's good because if you are so eager to answer to this, like send me more information email, then I think you'll be able to easily deal with other answers that are here. But I think what doesn't surprise us at all is that the 8th, 9th, and 10th reply are at the bottom of the list, correct?
Yes, although number 8, 5 replies out of 11, also like 40%, still decent. So Philip, like, where do you draw the line? Like, would you respond to someone said in the chat also all but 10, and I think that 5 people also thought the same way, right? To everything but 10. Would you do the same?
So for sure, I would reply to the first 7, meaning the first 7 are like no-brainers. I need to answer to them. I need to engage the prospects into a conversation, to start the conversation actually. When it comes to number 8 and 9, well, 8 is like sometimes I would, probably usually I would, but I have, especially if it's like I'm reaching out to a bigger company, it's just being sent over to a marketing department. I'm kind of feeling that prospect is just trying to transfer this email to anyone and just give me something, but I don't really count on any positive reply afterwards. With answer number 9, so not interested at the moment. Well, sometimes I do, especially when I get some more context. So when someone tells me that I'm not interested at the moment because X, Y, Z, then I like to catch this context and use it to ask other questions. So why do you think this is a wrong timing, or what makes you think that well, we can't really help you now? Because that might actually start a conversation. But those 2 cases are real difficult. Meaning, converting those requires a lot of persistence, a lot of like practice, experiments. But so I wouldn't recommend actually focusing on them from the very beginning. And the 10th is like a no-brainer. Just don't send anything else to these people, because they simply wish not to get any other emails from us. So just leave them alone.
Agreed. So yeah, there are obviously like some chances of converting 8 and number 9, but super slim, right? So if you have the time, you can do that. If, for instance, to this kind of response, you could prepare a template kind of elaborating what you do and asking them to get back whenever the time is right. It doesn't really hurt sending that message, but the chances of getting something out of it are quite slim, right? And with 8, I think that this is like the most controversial one. Usually, the fact that they haven't pointed at any person, specific person, tells you that they don't want to share any specific person, right? So this is you could try to get some more info about like, okay, but whom exactly you forwarded my message? I want to follow up with some info, but it also rarely works. So today we'll focus on the first 7, and in a second we'll go through examples of how we would handle each of these. But before we do that, let's quickly go through the tools that we use while doing it.
So starting with Growbots, like I hope you're guys familiar with this tool, because I heard that it's pretty good. But long story short, how to use Growbots when it comes to managing replies. So once someone replies positively to you, you probably don't really want to connect with other people from this company and keep mailing a CEO of like a sales director that actually replied to your campaign. So then it's best to qualify a company within our platform. So as you see on the screen, you can go to My Prospects tab on the left side here where Chris points, then go to Replied, and here you can see all of the people who replied to your campaigns in the past couple of days. So lately answered your emails. And if you simply move your mouse and see the green thumb up, you can simply qualify a company, and that will stop the campaigns, the messages to other people at this team you are reaching out to. And that's important, just to I would say be relevant. If someone answered to your email, it's enough. Like you can really keep the conversation going with them.
And it will also prevent you from generating more prospects from that company, right? So you also won't start any new campaigns to that specific company.
Further on, we also use Calendly. So I think that you either use Calendly or you know someone who uses Calendly and they send you their link. So long story short, this is like an online scheduler. You're able to send someone a link with your availability, and they are able to choose a slot that suits them best. And that's a super easy way to schedule meetings without going back and forth. It just make this whole process way easier and more comfortable for the prospect and for you as well. So it just saves time for both of the sides. Now, Focus.io. Well, this is a little bit less popular. I mean, this particular tool, but because what it does, it basically allows you to attach a follow-up sequence to a message, to an email that is sent from Google, from your inbox. So it takes a few clicks, and you basically are sure that this certain person will be follow-up with a couple of messages. And of course, you can create those, you can personalize those, you can choose when those messages will be sent. So this allows you to be persistent, and this is the key when it comes to managing replies and converting hot prospects. Of course, we'll tell you more about it, but Focus.io is a good choice if you are using G Suite or Google Business. If you're using Outlook, you have to probably look for other solutions. They are usually like super cheap. Focus.io costs $5 per month, and believe me, you will get much more business if you use such a tool, which allows you to automate follow-up sequences. And Salesforce. It might be an overkill to use Salesforce only to this thing, so to following up, because what is actually the activity that we're trying to promote here is setting up tasks. So you can use Google Calendar, you can use a CRM, but in our case, this is Salesforce. And whenever we reply to a positive, to a prospect that answered to our email positively, we want to make sure that we will keep pushing and that we will keep emailing this person for some time. So we want to set up a task just to be able to focus on other things. And once the day comes and we have to actually send another manual email, we will know it and we will get notified by Salesforce. But as mentioned, don't really think that Salesforce is essential, just any kind of system that allows you to follow up consistently.
All right, let's go to examples.
Let's go to examples. So let's go to the meaty part of the presentation. Of course, we'll start with your favorite, I think everyone's favorite message, always open to having conversation. I'm available tomorrow at 6 p.m. So we all love to get such replies. And below we can see how my team and how I reply to such message. So first one, we reply as soon as possible. You can do multiple things to to actually decrease the time between you receiving the message and you replying to it. So you can, of course, check your inbox every 5 minutes, but that's not really productive. But you can set up alarms using our Zapier integration, or you can simply check your phone, etc. But really, replying as soon as possible is really important and increases the chances that you will actually get a meeting on your calendars extremely. So it's huge, it's incremental. Second, mark company as qualified in Growbots. That's the second thing you should do. We showed you how to do it, and this way you will be sure that no one from this company will get a message from you. So it just keeps things clear. Once you reply, attach follow-up sequence. For example, Focus that we've showed you. And don't worry about the follow-up sequence. After this webinar, we'll share a doc with you, which has one example of follow-up sequence we use internally and a few other follow-up ideas for more generic use cases. But long story short, you'll get it after the webinar. So don't think you don't have to do any kind of screenshots now. And the fourth point of the process, set up a task. So set up a task for the day when sequence ends. So let's assume that my last follow-up will be sent on 27th of November. I want to have a task for that specific day to get back to this prospect and email him or her once again manually to add some personalization and to actually just try once again because you have to try multiple times sometimes to get someone on your calendar. And when it comes to the reply itself, there's one rule: make it easy for them to schedule. And you can see how we actually did it here. So let's pretend that the 6 p.m. is booked, like we can do it. We offered another hour, but also we gave them link to our Calendly. And we not only gave them the link, but we also presented the link in such a way that it shows value. We could say that you can also use this link. And well, it says it's a little bit different than you can use this link to schedule the call without going back and forth. It's actually saying to this prospect that it's worth going there. It will be better for you. It will be quicker, faster, and more comfortable. So always remember to make it easy for prospects to schedule the meeting. And the other thing you can do is simple mirror prospects' behavior. So you can see the smile after always open to having conversation. So like I want to do it the same. So that's why I added the smile in my message. And also, usually people reply like always open to having a call. This particular prospect said having a conversation. So that's why I look forward to our conversation. These are small things, but they change the way like people who are similar to themselves. So I want to be similar to this prospect, and I want to use the same tone of messaging. That's why we use those two things in this particular message.
So before we go further, what to do if you don't have the follow-up sequence tool? Can we live without it?
Of course. You can simply set up a task not for the date when sequence ends, but for the day when you want to send the next follow-up. So it can be the next day or 2 days after, but you can easily live without it. The crucial part, because what we're showing right here is process that we recommend, but it's not the only process on earth that works. But the crucial part is to send follow-ups. So if you want to do it manual day by day, then of course you can do it. Just make sure that you set up a task either for the date when the sequence ends or for the day where you want to send the next message, because that will make a difference. And it's actually shown on the next slide. Because this is like a quick intro. You have to read it from bottom up. So at the bottom, you can see the first message. On top, you can see the last message. And this is our actual conversation with one of our prospects. So as you can see, like Christine answered in a very positive way, like send me a calendar invite and I'll find the time. And it took us 6 messages. So our reply and then 5 follow-ups to actually get her on our calendar. So, and believe me, this is not like an exception. It happens all the time. And we really do schedule dozens of demos every single month simply by following up consistently. So that's why you should think of either a proper task system or Focus.io or one of similar tools to follow up consistently, because that will make a huge difference, both in conversion rates and at the end of the day, in the return on investment you're getting from outbound.
I would just add that I think it's important to build this mindset that the fact that someone is not responding or not booking does not mean that they are not interested, right? Sometimes they are super interested, but you reach them with an outbound message out of nowhere, and they have other priorities. So you're kind of usually you are somewhere at the bottom of their priority list, and when they find the time, they will book the call, right? But you need to be persistent to kind of to stay on top of the mind and contact them at the right time when they actually have that time. Yeah, so this
Definitely.
is, I think, like the most important rule of this entire webinar.
Definitely. So now, like a answer that you actually didn't like that much. So what's your pricing model? It's like a popular pricing objection. So what we do here at Growbots is we reply with a simple message, which looks like that. So of course, we want to thank our prospect for answering, and then we start. And if I would do like put a scheme here, I would say that we start with saying what's the entry barrier. So what is the lowest price and what actually it gives. So in our case, it's 199 per month. I think you all know it, and that's an all-in-one. We explain what is actually what the prospect will get for the price we mentioned, and look, we didn't only say it's 199, but it's 199 per month because that's our pricing model. The prospect wants to understand the whole picture, the big picture of your pricing structure. And so we start with the low entry barrier, but we also show our potential, saying that we can go as far as unlimited access to our database. And we mentioned that there are plenty of different options in between. And what we do at the very bottom is we actually try to engage this prospect and get him on the meeting. So important, reply ASAP once again. But then mark company as qualified in Growbots, attach follow-up sequence, set up a task, you know that, and don't sell the product. Sell the next step. And you can see the last paragraph in the email. I'm not just saying like, is it okay with you, or do you want to move forward? No, I'm actually trying to convince the prospect to come to the meeting and actually learn more about our pricing, because that's the best way to discuss what kind of package suits them. So I'm trying to drag them into a conversation. I'm trying to show them why is it worth to come to our meeting, because I'm not going to sell them Growbots via an email. It doesn't happen. But what does is that I am able to convince them to come to the meeting and actually see our product.
Yes, it's super hard to understand the full value over an email, right? So you want to create this kind of information gap and explain them that in order to understand the value of this money, you got to take the meeting and do a proper evaluation, right? Anything else here?
No, I think that's it. Of course, remember to say a little bit about your pricing and sell the meeting. Now, an email that you actually, that's a
Sorry.
spoiler
Yeah.
alert. No worries. That was pretty popular review. I mean, 10 out of 14 people who voted would actually reply to this message. And it's super warm, forward with an intro. So I got an introduction from other person at my target account that Peter is in charge of what I'm emailing about. So I'm like, okay, I want to talk to this guy. I want to talk to Peter, and this is the reply. Of course, I reply as soon as possible, as always. You know that's the golden rule. I mark company as qualified in Growbots because I know the best person to speak about it, so I don't have to bother all of the other people I chose earlier. Attach follow-up sequence to the email, that's for sure, and set up a task once again. And now, what is the most important thing when it comes to forwards is actually I have like a beautiful and powerful context. I was introduced by someone else. So imagine a situation when your business partner or your employee or your boss actually ceases you to email and says like, you are in charge of this, Albert, or that might be interesting for you. Like this is a powerful introduction. So actually, because of this introduction, I have the attention of Peter. I'm pretty sure he will read this email because his colleague thought this is relevant to him. So that's why I can do a little bit longer pitch. So you can see in the first paragraph, I'm saying that you can probably see the message where I pitched our product, but I use the fact that I have his attention. I pitch it once again in a little bit more of a expanded way. So I actually tell more about Growbots, and at the very end, I ask the standard call to action. would you like to discuss how we could apply it to your use case, to your specific process? So this mail is based on the fact that I have Peter's attention and I want to use it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another forward, but it's a little bit more difficult. So I know that John Doe is the good person to speak, but I don't know his email, and I wasn't introduced in any way. So first thing I have to do is actually find Joe's email, and I can do it in Growbots. So you can simply go to Explore, find the company you emailed, and look for Joe or John's email there. And actually, if it's there, you can simply use it in your inbox. And how the message should look like, because of course you have to reply ASAP. Once again, mark company as qualified in Growbots. I would say it's optional in here because I'm not always convinced that John is like the best person to speak. If I'm convinced, then I would mark company as qualified. If not, and I feel like the prospect replied just to say anything to me, then probably I wouldn't do it. But anyway, once I reply, of course, I attach follow-up sequence. I know I'm getting boring, but it's important, and set up a task for the day when sequence ends. And well, here, once again, I try to, of course, don't sell the product, sell the next step. You can see the last paragraph is like super detailed about what John can actually expect from the demo and from the call. So why is it worth coming there? But other thing I do is, once again, I have a pretty powerful introduction. So I can say that someone from your team, let's say it was Peter, your VP of sales, pointed you as the best person to connect with. And it catches the attention. It always does. I can even use, like a screenshot of the email that Peter sent to me. So I have his attention. I can pitch him the product in a more expanded way, and then sell the meeting, sell the next step. Don't sell the product.
So would you always use the screenshot, or is it enough to answer in the same thread but change the sender so that they kind of see at the bottom that indeed, like, Peter told me that I'm the best person?
I think the same thread is good as well. Maybe it's even better because sending a screenshot might be seen as a little bit over the line, but the same thread probably will be the optimal solution.
Okay. And also, like, rules that you haven't mentioned here, but I see that you also use some personalization here, right?
Yes.
So you invested a lot in that email.
Yeah, I did, but it's worth it because I'm pretty sure that John will open this email. So I really want to impress him. And what's the best way to impress someone? Just check their website, understand their business, and use this information to be as relevant as possible. And this is what we've done here.
Okay.
Okay. Now an answer that I think wasn't that popular among you. So I'm a bit slammed at the moment. Could you reach out to me in 2 weeks? And the answer I'm going to show you is like, you have to be careful while using it. But Chris, can you roll it out?
Yes.
Once you're sure that this person actually wants to talk to you or actually is interested, but they are slammed at the moment, you can use this reply. Because it happens. Like, we all know that some periods or some weeks can be super busy and you really can't squeeze another meeting, but you would like to see the solution that you were offered. So in such a situation, I want to use this to my advantage and actually get the meeting on the calendar right away, because this person thinks about my solution right now. Like, they got the email, they think it's interesting right now. I don't want to wait 2 weeks and risk that they will actually forget why they wanted to talk to me. So I'm offering, but in a very polite way, to actually get the meeting on the calendar right away. I'm offering 1 or 2 times. So I want to make it easy for them to schedule. Of course, like as always, reply as soon as possible, mark company as qualified in Growbots, attach a follow-up sequence, but here, start the sequence 2 weeks after this message. If someone doesn't reply to this message, it might mean that you really have to wait those 2 weeks, start conversation again from that point. So you can use this follow-up sequence, but simply increase the period between this reply and the first follow-up from the sequence. And once again, set up a task follow-ups. I'm pretty sure it's getting boring, but believe me, it's worth it. And yep, Chris.
I would add that there is thin line. You need to feel the context of this answer. If that person really wants to meet with you, and just the timing is not right, then you can easily ask for that meeting to make it easier, like explain why we ask for that meeting, right? So that it doesn't so it's easier to connect in after these 2 weeks, right? But if you feel that he only said that, but you are not sure, then it's probably better to follow up after these 2 weeks and try to get his attention in other way.
Definitely agreed. Okay, and this is an answer that probably all the people that do outbound get pretty often. So get back to me, circle back to me in the next quarter or the quarter after it. And like what's important, of course, you have to reply as soon as possible, set up the task for the day when you should get back. And now, why is it so important? Because at the moment when you get such a reply, you'll probably say, like, sure, all the best until then, and that's it. Like someone told you to get back within a couple of months, that's what you do. So just tell them that you saw this message and that you will do it. And the second message, so once you actually the time has passed and you should circle back, just say it at the very beginning that circle back as promised, or even circle back as requested, because that sounds even in a more confident way, and it really draws attention, catches attention. Then use the context you were given, and that's super important. If you use the context that in November you were busy with a big project, or like a conference you were organizing, or hiring new sales manager, anything like that, use it and ask, how did it go? Like, be human. Like, we all like to talk about things that were important for us, and it really shows you care and you remember, and so always use the context you were given. Then quick pitch, because after a few months, like, I wouldn't remember what this guy was emailing me about. So just give them a quick refresher, one sentence pitch, and ask, is that a better timing for a quick call about this? Of course, you can be more specific about the call. You can sell it better, but in this case, you can stay sharp. Like a short message, it really is one of the it's the easiest way to start the conversation again. And sometimes people will re-engage. So the process is similar. Reply ASAP with the first one, set up a task for the date when you should get back. Then you re-engage prospect with the second message from here, attach a follow-up sequence, and set up another task. And it's really important when someone says to you, get back to me in 5 months, really do it. Like, don't try to convince them that they can't wait for this 5 months, because like in 99% of the cases, they know better.
And at the same time, we do it. We might have the reason why they want you to reach out at that specific time, right? So just make sure to get back to them.
Okay, and the last email. So thanks for the message. Please send me some more information to review. That was one of the most popular among you. And I can see why, because it's really positive. Like, these people want to get some more information about our solution or our services. So this is how we reply to this message. It's a longish message. Of course, we try to reply as soon as possible, because that's the window when we can actually, we have their attention. And the most important thing is answer their email. So they want to get more information, so give them more information. But don't simply do, like a featured dump and give them all of the things that are kind of important. Don't give them 5 case studies or like a webinar you recorded recently. Just give them a short description of what you do, more detailed than a normal email, and sell the next step. Don't sell the product. So in my opinion, there are 2 types of send me more information messages. One, people who are saying that, but they don't really care, just want to reply. And to those people, whatever you would send, you won't convince them. Like, they already made their decision. And the second type of people, so those who actually need more information to decide whether they want to move forward or not. And to these people, you just give them information. As you can see, once again, there's personalization here. So make effort, because it will take you a couple of minutes, but it will increase that you will convince those people who are really on the verge whether they want to talk to you or not. And once again, sell the next step. So describe what the meeting is about, describe what kind of value they will get out of this meeting. This is how you get people on calls, not by only selling the product.
Yes, exactly. Usually, like, there is no amount of information you can give them to sell the product right away, right? You just want to give them enough information to get them interested to hear more.
And important thing about the process here, as you can see, there's one change. So you don't necessarily want to mark them as in Growbots, because I wouldn't say this is like super positive reply and we wouldn't like to connect with any other person at this company. I would like to, because maybe other person will be more interested. And same with a task for the day when sequence ends. Probably I would actually send like attach follow-up sequence and kind of leave it. If they get back to me, great. If not, then, well, it happens pretty often.
Mm-hmm. So in short, it's worth replying to this kind of reply, but it's usually not the warmest, or a lot of false kind of interest, right? That they tell you to send more info because they are being polite, but there is not much behind it. But there are some of the really warm behind that as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's make a quick summary.
A quick summary of the things you heard a dozen times during this presentation. So reply to everyone non-negative. Just give yourself a chance. You never know, maybe they will set up a meeting with you. Reply ASAP. Once again, I told it a million times in here. Don't sell the product, sell the next step. Super important. Make it easy for them to schedule, like Calendly or other schedulers. Use them, really, it helps. Mirror prospects' behavior. So if you feel that someone is into short message, be short and precise. If someone gives you an answer with 7 different questions, be super, super detailed about what you're writing. And the same with smiles and other things like specific phrases. Use them and just let those people like you. And answer the email. So if someone asks you about something, make sure that you answer their email, because it's pretty actually popular that someone asks us about something and we have our own story we want to tell. We don't really bother with what we got. So remember about that, to answer people email. Once you prepare a reply to the reply, read it once again and ask yourself, did I nail it? Did I actually clarify what the prospect was asking about?
Yeah, especially because sometimes you have those kind of mixed types of answers, right? So someone tells you, yeah, let's meet up. By the way, what's your pricing like, right? And you jump in to schedule the meeting and you forget about the question, and they might feel offended that you haven't answered their question, you have something to hide, etc. So
definitely, like that happens a lot. And use the context you were given. So whatever information you get, use it. Because first of all, when someone tells you something, like probably it's being said for a reason, and you should use this information. You should remember about it. And it's not only about why someone wants to you to circle back after a few months. It's also about okay, why the pricing is important for them. Maybe because they said they are a small business and they are not sure that they can afford you, or maybe because they said that they want to meet next week because this week they're off, they're on holidays. So ask them, how was it? Just use the context you were given. That's super powerful. Follow up like crazy, at least six attempts. You saw the thread. Like it took us six messages to actually book someone. And follow up templates examples, as mentioned at the very beginning of the webinar. Here you will have like a few examples that we use and we created that you can use easily to follow up with prospects and get them on your calendars. Keep it clean. So remember about marking people as qualified or unqualified in Growbots. Just to email the people that actually have a chance to convert. And use a CRM or different tasks to avoid dropping the ball. Dropping the ball is the worst thing you can do, and is the shortest and easiest way to actually decrease your schedule rates like tremendously. So use CRM, or as I saw, to-do list or Google Calendar, anything that will remind you to follow up with a certain person at a certain day.
All right. So now some additional ideas that you might use. So first of all, if you like being on the phone, pick up the phone, right? So when someone asks you a question that would be easier to handle on the phone than via email, and most of the questions really are, you usually have their phone number in the signature. Just pick up the phone, call right away, and schedule the meeting this way. If there is no phone number in the signature, you can also find it. Usually, you can find it in the prospects details in Growbots. Similarly with LinkedIn, if you are more of a LinkedIn guy or gal, you can use that, connect with them on LinkedIn, either right away when they respond or as a follow-up, right? So maybe they are not responding to your emails. You can connect with them on LinkedIn and try to convert it that way. Again, you can find the LinkedIn link in Growbots as well. Answer with video, another good idea, especially if they, for instance, ask you something about your product, right? Sometimes it's easier to just jump in the product, record a quick personalized video for them, and show them how it would look like instead of actually typing a very lengthy kind of email. If they ask the question, you can be almost certain that they will watch the video that you recorded. So it's worth investing in that as well. And personalized, invest the time. So kind of it ties well together with the video aspect, right? So when you are every recorded video is kind of personalized one when replying to the prospect, right? So for instance, like we sometimes do what you saw in the emails that we check, like how many prospects we have for that particular potential client, and we personalize with that. But for instance, if you are a digital marketing agency and you want to impress someone, you could record a video, I don't know, analyzing their Google Ads, for instance, and giving them some ideas for improvement and kind of giving additional value to your follow-up this time. But the point is that this is the moment in the process that is really worth investing your time, because you've done the hardest part. Like you put your foot in the door, you started the conversation. So now it's worth investing the time, because you have, again, like you are almost certain that they will read your message, that they will watch your video, right? So invest the time in both like personalization and other communication channels. And to kind of wrap up, because we spoke mostly about positive replies, but obviously, like there is also aspect of handling negative replies. So usually you just don't respond to them, but also remember about kind of some negative responses that you would want to stop the campaign to all prospects from that particular company, right? So instead of qualifying them positively, you would unqualify the entire company to make sure you are not reaching out to that company, you are not generating more prospects from that company, because, for instance, the highest decision maker told you that it virtually makes no sense for you to work together, and you know that it's just pointless to be reaching out to that company. So remember about unqualifying prospects as well.
Yeah, but also at this point, stay conservative. Meaning, if someone says, like a marketing manager, that we're not interested, email the CEO, because the CEO actually might be interested. So keep that in mind, and simply don't unqualify company too often.
All right. So why the CRM? Philip, do you want? Oh, I spoiled you. So I'll get to it, right? First of all, to make sure you're not dropping the ball, like the most, so that you don't need to remember about this stuff, and you will be always remembering to follow up without that extra effort. What CRM, Philip, like allows you to do more on top of just remembering about stuff?
So of course, it's a place where you can get all of your warm leads, and then you can recycle them. That's one thing. Second thing is, of course, better analytics, so you can see and you can analyze further on, like who replied positively to your messages, and maybe you should focus on this group. But definitely, I would say, like, having all of those contacts that are a fit for me in one group, this is the biggest advantage.
Yes, because you would be able, for instance, to see like which ones of those haven't converted into meetings, right? And you can reach out to them once again in a month, in a two, with a different message, a bit warmer, right? And there is value in that as well. And I will just also add to facilitate the further like sales process, right? So it doesn't end here, obviously. After setting up the meeting, there are negotiations, proposals, etc. If you don't want to again drop the ball, just do it. And for those that don't have it, we actually have like 2 free options. So first of all, we recommend HubSpot. Like no affiliation with any of the tools that we mentioned today, by the way. We just did the tools that we like and we usually recommend. So HubSpot CRM is free, and it also integrates well with Growbots. So you can set up this. Or if you are more of a spreadsheet kind of guy, you can also use this template that was prepared by Salesforce to easily manage your contacts, like super light version of CRM. Last but not least, few words on attendance rate. It's not like super probably a common issue, but pay attention to it. If it's not higher than 80%, it might mean that you have problem. And just like with any other conversion, it can also like ruin your process if only 50% of people that you set up the meeting with come to the meeting. It means that something is seriously wrong, right? So pay attention to it. Automatic reminders from Calendly help a lot. And you can, if this doesn't help, you can also think about like manual meeting confirmation process. So we usually send a short text message just day before the meeting to confirm if the asking for confirmation that they will be able to attend the meeting, and it also improved our attendance rate by a lot.
Yeah, and if you wanted to get more information on how to increase the attendance rate, if that's a problem for you, just let us know. We can prepare another webinar, probably it will be shorter, but we can help you with that ourselves. We had attendance rate at above like 65%, as far as I remember. So we worked really hard on it to get it to like 85, 90, which we have for the last couple of years.
All right, so we arrived to the end. On the chat, I posted a link to the PDF version of this presentation, so you can download the PDF or just to use the link and access all of the links that were inside the presentation, so CRMs, templates, etc. But before we leave, Do you have any kind of questions about the content, or maybe some different types of responses that you don't know how to handle and you'd like to know our opinion? Let us know now.
Okay, I see. Oh, thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mark.
One last chance. All right, so if there are no questions, can you send those responses in a separate email? So you can use this link to access all of the responses and presentation. It will be the shortest way, but I believe that you will also get an automatic notification from Livestorm after the event.
Okay.
All right, so if there are no questions, thank you so much for today. If something comes up, feel free to reach out to us. The easiest way to get me is by writing to email chris@growbots.com. Yes, you will have the access to the recording by accessing the same link, I think, that you used to enter this webinar, but you will also get a notification from Livestorm after the webinar. Thank you so much. See ya.
Thank you.